Hello, welcome, thanks for joining me. A coolish March morning, we're still in winter, it's rainy, and I found myself back in the workshop this morning. Good to be back. What was I building? An acoustic hood for my Arduino controlled CNC router. There's been two iterations of the CNC router. One, it had a large two-handed router bought from a local superstore, and then I thought I was improving it by fitting a smaller palm router handheld device, but that was not to be. The palm router was annoyingly loud, and I mean really loud. Looking online, the suggestions are that the noise comes from the cooling fan, and there are mods you can do, but I'm not going down that route. I looked into purchasing a quieter router, and it's hundreds and hundreds of pounds, so I'm not going down that route either. So I'll build an acoustic hood to surround the router. During cutting, I can leave it running, possibly point the camera at it, monitor it from wherever I am in the house, and even close the garage door. How will I measure any improvement? Well, I'm just going to be the judge myself. If I think it's tolerable, then I've achieved my objective. If it's still noisy, I'll keep improving it and improving it until I get the noise levels down. What am I using for sound deadening? Egg boxes. What about the surround? Well, looking around the house, I came across one of my young son's elderly guitar amplifiers, no longer used. No longer needed. So that'll be the basis. I'll take all the internals out of the amp and use the solid surround as a starting point. I've also got a child's stairgate, it looks as if it's ready-made for a hinge, so I can put work in and out of the CNC setup. Let's have a look at the amplifier and the work to be done, and refresh our memory of the Arduino controlled CNC. The first steps is to strip the amp. There's not a lot to it, so we shall make a start. Well, that's the cabinet opened, cut down to size, and interior electrics removed. Next step is to sit the CNC inside it, see how it looks. Here we see the Arduino with a shield. The shield is what controls the three axes, the X, Y and Z movement of the CNC router. These thin cables are all that are needed These cables are all that are needed to control each stepper motor. The first stage of the CNC router enclosure is built. It's a snug fit. Hopefully it'll do everything I want. The next step is to have a folding flap, and I plan to use a stair gate left over from the past. A lot of thought needs to go into this next stage of the build. A folding flap with a viewing panel, just so I can keep an eye on things during any cutting, and egg boxes to keep the noise down. Well, that's the plan. Time for a cuppa and some much needed thought processes.